Lai Olurode joins us. He's a professor of sociology at the University of Lagos and former national commissioner at the Independent National Electoral Commission. Thanks for coming on the program.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
INEC is on focus now, and even the parties, there seems to be a little bit of confusion in interpretation of the Electoral Act and the Constitution concerning Kogi State. For you, for someone who's been there and following politics till this moment, what would you be saying about Kogi State?
Well, I think the first point to make as a former insider is to concede a measure of logic, quite a substantial measure of logic to the Commission for having gone through the entire electoral process in Kogi. Kogi, after the 2015 presidential election, seems to be a very good outing for the new Commission, and we must recognize that. And having gone through all the processes, to now think of contemplate the possibility of going through it again in Kogi, it becomes very frustrating. And sometimes you need to, it's a situation which was not in contemplation, which could not have been foreseen by anybody, which was not even foreseen by the legislators. And they had the best frame of mind. And the decision has to be taken in the context of this dilemma. It's a dilemma situation. Henry Durkheim referred to a dilemma situation. Whichever option you settle for, there are bound to be certain consequences, which may not be unpalatable. And that is why some of the speakers you've spoken to talk about the legal option as the ultimate solution to resolve this lacuna. But my concern, the INEC has done a good job, INEC has done very well, but I think the way to go is very complex. And for me, what is going to dictate the way to go is the sanctity of the ballot. How do you secure the ballot? There must not be any derogation of the ballot. You must secure the ballot, you must protect it. And where you take a decision that seems to want to supplant or to shortchange the voter by possibly saying that somebody should step into the shoe of the deceased yet to be announced governor-elect, that will be shortchanging the elector. So there's no guarantee that if you have to do the same election again, these same voters will settle for this person. And again, for me, the concern is that you're going to be depersonalizing the entire electoral process. You're going to remove the human agency from the electoral process. And I think as much as we can, we must not make the ballot to seem to be inelastic. That is to say, you transfer votes of Haudu Abubakar to a fresh candidate. That will be thinking that the electorate, the voter is the same person. The way he voted yesterday will be the way he will vote tomorrow, and the way he will vote in the nearest future. And I think it's not going to be a good fix. It's quick. It gives us a confidence. Somebody I spoke to, a very senior lawyer, said it's an approximation of the law. But an approximation of the law is not the law. It could be the convenient way to go, but you'll be shortchanging the electorate. Because the personality, you see, there are two issues here. The political party is a significant entity in an election contest. The same thing applies to the individual, the contestants, who are risen from the point of being an aspirant to becoming a contestant under Section 31 of the Constitution, Section 81 of the Electoral Act, and Section 87 of the Electoral Act. So I think it is important to recognize the need to protect the ballot and to need to secure, to guarantee, to be sure that you allow the voters to speak for themselves. Don't speak for them.
Okay, Prof. You began by looking at INEC and its actions, and you talked about conceding to some level to them. But the last guest here believes that INEC contravened the Constitution by not declaring APC the winner.
Yeah, I bet you was.
Based on the fact that the Constitution says there's a way to declare a winner by counting the votes according to the Constitution. So he's saying that INEC contravened that Constitution, seeing that APC had majority of the votes at that election.
No. It's not enough to have the majority. You see, INEC is not an arbitrary institution. INEC is bound by law, by written law. You can see the section of the law that he quoted about declaration is this section 36 of the Constitution. So it was putting, he was wrong, and he knew that he was not doing the right thing. What it says is that for you to emerge as a governor, you must have scored the highest number of votes. In this case, in Kogi State, has anybody secured the highest number of votes? The answer is no. Of course, somebody has the highest number of votes, but the election has been declared by INEC as inconclusive.
That's what
it has not been concluded.
Right. Why did INEC declare that election inconclusive? That's what he's saying.
Primarily because if you have followed, INEC, the resident electoral commissioner in Kogi State, made the clarifications, and some national commissioners also made clarifications.
Based on an internal rule of INEC.
Of course, there is no law guiding election or the electoral process that will spell out the nitty-gritty, all the details. INEC will not have to gazette, will not have to come out with guidelines for election. The issue about accreditation, the use about the PVC, and what Nigerians were very happy about the role of technology in the electoral process. They were all devices, internal devices of INEC, just to strengthen the ballot and to strengthen the electoral process. Nobody has ever faulted that, because all of them working together had contributed to the credibility and transparency of the electoral. The election could have gone under, but for the PVC technology under Jega's leadership, we must concede it to INEC. INEC has not done anything arbitrary. INEC has not acted in disrespect of the law setting up the commission. What INEC has done is that, look, we have cancellations in Kogi State, even though Haudu Abubakar of the APC is leading by this number of votes. But when you take cognizance of the cancellations, you have to assume that, supposing these cancelled votes, the individuals there had an opportunity to vote. You cannot assume that all of them will vote for party A or party B. You have to distance yourself from the way they are going to express their intention. That is what the commission has done, which is the right way to go. You cannot, on the basis taking cognizance of the cancellations, now still go ahead and make a return in that election. Okay, it would be wrong to do that.
What do you make of the fact that the law does not provide for supplementary elections, and except maybe in the case of natural disasters? And
no, it does. The law provides for supplementary election where you cannot reject. No, this is not the first time that this will happen. The only thing that the law never emphasized, which we were not prepared for in this country, was an election has not been concluded, and the person who was the leading candidate in that election actually died before he could be sworn, before he could even take his oath of office, or before the inauguration of the House of Assembly. That is a lacuna. That is the challenge. And the point is, how do you now handle the issue? How do you respond to that dilemma, to that situation? You have 2 or 3 options. The first one would be go ahead, allow a substitution of the candidate, let the new candidate, the new governor to be, let him take the credit of the votes of the deceased candidate. And that will seem to be obnoxious. It's not going to be in tandem with because you never can take the intention of the voter for granted. That is my own logic. That we must protect the ballot, we must secure the voters, we must make sure that we do not empty the votes of the personality, the human agency. These are very critical, because a Suleiman standing in an election which becomes stalled, and you now, if he or she dies in the process, you now replace that person with another candidate. There's no guarantee that that one will have the charisma that the person that died will be able to muster. You see, every ballot is an expression of diverse elements. There's the ethnicity in a ballot, there's the religiosity of a ballot, there is the person himself in every ballot that is expressed. So it's a very complex process before a voter decides to vote for party A or to vote for individual A. There are different components, and you need to weigh all these components. At the end of the day, I may come to think that this guy belongs to my religious group. Maybe I will cast my vote for him, even though I don't like his party. Maybe I don't like his religion, maybe I like the party. So you never know what is the determinant factor that makes an individual to decide to vote one way and not the other. So at the point at which you now decided to take all the votes that have been gathered by A in an election to who dies in an election and transfer the entire vote to B, there's no guarantee that the voter will have acted the way you had assumed.
Let me come in here. That's what lawyers have been saying concerning the elections in the country, not just only in Kogi State, but a couple of other elections that have held. And they say it's what kind of mistake INEC has continued to bring to the politics of the country, and it has to do with supplementary election. And truly, if you look through the books, to the Electoral Act and the Nigerian Constitution, there's nowhere we have provision for supplementary elections. So it's either there is something that INEC is not getting right about this election when we talk about supplementary or inconclusive election.
No, don't forget that the Constitution makes provision for a situation where elections become inconclusive, where you could not conclude an electoral process. You could have a supplement. In fact, in a situation of war, INEC could decide not to hold an election if there is a very serious threat to the electoral process, and lives could be endangered. So the point I think what you should be asking is that in place of supplementary elections, should we be creating chaos? Should we be creating conditions that will make elections to become unfathomable, that will make it very difficult to even contemplate?
Just
what you do by supplementary elections
Just a moment, Prof. The
Yes.
Electoral Act talks about postponement in
Yes.
Section 26.
Yeah.
In the case of natural disasters where there is breach of peace and all of that, there is actually no place where it talks about supplementary elections. It talks
Instead,
about
it's a fresh,
postponement.